All right. On nothing. No. Wisdom. Fourth tenet. Pretty important. We did attunement. We did nature, greatest teacher, followed by humility, wisdom. There's fastest to wisdom. It's a tool. It's probably the easiest to get, to see. People respond to wisdom. People respond to wisdom pretty well. I'm not going to say men respond to wisdom, but they do. I might go as far to say that men respond to wisdom better than women. That's a generalization. I'm a little tired. It's been a pretty long day. Some pretty hard travel. Long day in the car. So I'll write it off as that. But, yeah, wisdom. Wisdom. Tool. Easy to get. You get it from memes. You get it from books. You can get it by reading all of Plato's works, or simply getting his best summations. You know what I mean? All of them. Aristotle, Socrates. Socrates probably has my favorite piece of wisdom. It's either my first or my second, which is, at the end of his life, he's quoted as saying, I know now that I know nothing. So it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy in the sense that it matches up with the full cup, empty cup analogy. If your glass is full, there's no more room for anything else to go in. You know what I mean? So you must always have an empty cup. Fucking alcoholic might use as an excuse to always empty their cup. And there was something about Greeks and overfilling their cups. I think it might have been Socrates. He designed a cup where if one overfilled it, it spilled all the wine all over the dude's toga, and everybody got to call him a jerk off or something like that. Nobody told me that you can get blinded by wisdom, because I was hung up for a little bit, not gonna lie, and I had gotten blinded by wisdom. Fucking, of all people, nobody fucking let me know about that. You know what I mean? Help me wise up. That was really, really super clutch, and I will always be appreciative of that. So yeah, it is wise to know nothing. There's also the art of doing nothing, or is doing as little as possible. That's Eastern philosophy. That ties in with Eastern philosophy that doesn't really mesh well or completely with the forever growth of, the unstoppable, insatiable beast that is infinite and exponential growth. If you're not growing, you're dying. Not necessarily true for the human experience. Everybody looks at the numbers. We need to do better than last year. We gotta be grown, or we're dying. It's possible. Plants, usually it may be true. If you look at business as if it's a plant, if you look at a fucking corporation as if it's a living being, it's either growing or it's dying. It's expanding or it's shrinking. Quite possible. Some trees bloom more certain years than others. And it could be a single signal of the health of the tree, the health of the economy, this, that, and the other, whatever. It's, it's like Radio Shack. Gets big, it's popular, shrinks, it dies. Okay, fair enough. But the wisdom of Socrates in knowing nothing is that it can be read multiple ways. And if you take an Eastern slant to it, there's the embodiment of nothing. Rather than have a structure, a mental structure, you practice nothingness, clear conscience, clear mind, clear head, and not clear as in a color or absence of a color, as in just simply nothing. Not emptiness, but nothing. And, in conjunction with the pronouns, to realize that I am nothing. And then to also realize when I look at you, that you are nothing. And this car ahead of me, the driver, he is nothing. We are nothing. They are nothing. And a few, odds and ends and tricks, you get people who start singing me, 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 And do you hear that? That is the power of nothing. It's able to silence it's able to empty the mind, peace of mind, some may call it. And that is why it is very, very powerful. And it throws to the Lawrence of Arabia quote, which I just like. I like everything about the story with Lawrence of Arabia. I don't know, something about British people in the desert is pretty fucking cool, for whatever reason. And I think the quote is, there is nothing in the desert, and no man needs nothing. What does that mean? No man needs nothing. You could throw that at the Tolkien, where the Witch King's like, no man can defeat me, and then Aegon's like, I'm no man, I'm a chick. And it's like, so there's nothing in the desert, and no man needs nothing. Maybe a woman needs nothing. So it could be considered therapeutic in a way, maybe, especially if someone's given into, racing thoughts. They can't stop. They can't stop the wheels from spinning. I've been there myself. I've been there for years and years and years and years. But also, I've learned the wisdom of Socrates in that knowing nothing in relation to being humble, and then also the Eastern philosophers, knowing nothing is, I don't know anything. My mind is open to new ideas. I'm open to reevaluating new information as it comes in, or exploring new concepts as it comes in. And you couple that with attunement, humility, and nature being the greatest teacher. If you can find yourself into that ocean of dreams, and not like the liberal whatever the fuck goes on sometimes. I'm talking about like the real, maybe a cosmic ocean, maybe something deep within the earth. It may be nature itself. It could be in relation, to a man and a woman. You know what I mean? What was Jimmy Cameron say? A woman's heart is a deep ocean. You know, that kind of, is it a heart or is it a mind? You know, who knows? Personally, I've been trying to get back to that ocean. Why I haven't been able to, I'm not 100% sure why. I used to get there pretty consistent, getting 8 hours of sleep a night, up on that shit. You know what I mean? And it would cost me. It would cost me. But goddamn, it felt like I would wake up having explored, you know, the depths of the universe itself for years and years and years. It's felt like it stretched time and space beyond my years. Not in like a Lord of the Rings Gollum where I'm like fucking twisted and evil now, but where it feels like I've been alive for 1,000 years. You know, that I've lived 1,000 lifetimes. You know, where like a day will stretch on for eternity, or a night. You know, so I mean, I don't regret a single second of my life. You know, up until this point, I don't even regret this. You know, very few. Some things could be different, but you know, that's like the true power of nothingness. Now you go with like Hollywood movies, and it's like the never-ending story, and the Dalai Lama warns about nihilism. And nihilism is different than the embracing of nothing. Nihilism is simply, you know, it's not caring, but becoming nothing, to me, anyways, in my perspective of it, is, you know, it's a form of attunement in and of itself. It's not stopping caring about anything, but it's like a reversion to a more natural state. That pertains to some views of language, like that the founding fathers of the U.S. had when they didn't pick a language at all. You know, a few tips and tricks that I definitely, before I delve into that, I will definitely have a more cohesive explanation for what I think they meant by not picking a language, and also some things in relation to Pike in that respect that not shed light. That's not necessarily, you know, people very light obsessed, because we see in the daytime, so people are imbalanced in that aspect. But that is the power of nothing, the power of knowing nothing, the power of not only attuning to something higher, but the ability to accept, you know, to accept that there are things that, like, beyond the four, the conscious awareness, you know, what can be expressed in your thought patterns as words, you know. So if you can silence your own mind, that's like every Zen master's, that's pretty much the goal, is like inner peace. And I mean, there is definitely a thing with body work and mind work where if you get both at the same time going, because there's things with the limbic system and the meridians, there's stuff going on with the body's liminal and nervous memory responses. Perhaps not. Perhaps it's a little overblown and dogmatic, but perhaps, there's still something to it. The memories of pain can only hurt you if you let them. That's Sad Guru, again, Eastern philosophy. And I find, like wisdom. You know, people focus on Western wisdom, but that's a folly, because there's got to be, you got to look at the East and the Western stuff for the entire approach. And I have a distinct feeling, certain people look to the Western stuff only, and then certain other people only look to the Eastern stuff. And then people are like doing yoga, but they're missing out on all the philosophy behind it. So it's like, great, you're doing the exercise, but like you're not like doing the actual, like, you're doing meditations and stuff. With me personally, I meditate very, very rarely. I daydream like a mofo. Like I come up with more in a daydream than people can fucking write in a book. Quite honestly, and I'll wake up from slumber, and they'll just be too much. Like we were out here, we were theory crafting this, from a dialectical peak, and we've gone beyond that peak now, and there's another mountain still yet to climb. Where dialectics completely ends, and it's like, wait a minute, this is a possibility here. We have to measure it, and we have to look at the world, see if it's true. So like when you're diving in that kind of ocean, it's important to be able to give certain concepts you don't need back to nothing. I refer to it as being able to put it down. There are people who try to hold on to every shred of everything they pick up in a daydream, in that flow state, in the night cycle, in the night dreams. I don't know how lucid dreaming works. I'd like to be taken through it, but I've never been much of a nighttime dreamer as is, so that's neither here nor there. So yeah, that is the power of nothing. Also, motherfuckers can't do nothing right, you know what I mean? And it's like, hey, what do you know? I don't know nothing. Nobody tells me nothing, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers can't do nothing right. That's just what it is. And when motherfuckers can't do nothing right, things get fucked up. That's the power of being able to do nothing. Everybody's got that story of that dude who fucking goes to work and all he does is sleep. That's the power of nothing. What's he doing sleeping there? It's interesting that they have all these federal facilities where they like pay a dude to just fucking take a nap. What's he doing? Looks like nothing. The looks can be deceiving. Nothing is as it seems, so they say. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of wordplay surrounding nothing, but the therapeutic benefit is to become nothing. Turn them pronouns into nothing. Those fuck pronouns with the Z's, zers, and the gems and all this shit. Like, they missed the fucking point altogether. It's like the self-labeling, identity politics. It's all a trap. It traps you in to somebody else's game. Don't play somebody else's game. The structure. Oh, Cody needs to get on the structure or whatever. It's all mind control. But if you become nothing, nothing is bigger than anything can stick to. It's also smaller than anything it can stick to. So if you want to free yourself from scripts, AI, religious dogma, nothing is the way to go. That's how you do it. And these things can have physical manifestations. And it opens people up to sorcery and manipulation. Sorcery in the sense that it is basically like, it's mind control And then if somebody can control your mind, they de facto can control your body. It's a scary thing, and you know, it's not to be taken lightly. And if you've experienced it yourself, like you know what I'm talking about, especially like targeted individuals and whatnot. So I'll leave it there on the extrapolations of nothing. What Socrates meant by it, by his little thing. This guy needs to learn how to be nothing, because he is nothing. You're nothing. I think that's Rambo. And if he doesn't stop honking his fucking horn, I'm gonna jump out of this car and make him nothing. You know what I mean? Guess what, buddy? You're nothing. And that'll be that. And I'm sure I'll refine this shit later on down the road, or maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's the wrap on wisdom. The wisdom of nothing. Anyhow, there's other fucking wisdom. You can go. There's so much wisdom out there. Could do, you know, wisdom. I love it. Common sense, conventional wisdom. Beautiful thing. Other people are like, oh, I'm wisdom. No, dude. No. Common sense, not so common. Really and truly. Like, really. Like, you get to a certain point, common sense just fucking falls apart. And it, you know, there's nothing else going on. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Fucking hard fighting it today, baby. I'm gonna become nothing right here on the fucking on the way home, and fucking chill the fuck out. You know what I'm saying?